Hey, David Brewster here with another episode of 3 for All, and this is 3 Marcus King licks from 2018. And Marcus King is a very talented guitarist and vocalist, and he's young. I think he's like 23. And, he hasn't really been on the scene. I guess his debut album came out in 2015, and he's released 3 albums and an EP each year since that time, 2015, 16, 17, and 18. And, phenomenal guitarist, very exciting, musician. He has a very soulful, singing voice. He's kind of coming from like that Greg Allman and Warren Haynes kind of vocal style. And then his guitar playing is, it's phenomenal. I mean, you can hear, traces of like Derek Trucks. You can hear Warren Haynes, Dwayne Allman. I'm hearing a little bit of Jimmy Herring. Some of the kind of technical like legato runs and stuff kind of reminds me of Jimmy Herring a little bit. And then he has this R&B and kind of soul influence too. Big James Brown fan, Otis Redding, and then he has horns in his band. So I can also hear like early Chicago and, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. A little bit of Terry Kath, in his vocals and also his guitar playing too. And it's really exciting to notice someone so young and so talented. And he's just out there killing it. I mean, his band is awesome. His music's very expressive and very dynamic. I mean, he has like funk tunes and blues tunes and these soul and R&B kind of tunes, and they just jam. They just throw down, and I love that. And this guy's from Greenville, South Carolina, and one of my favorite stories about Marcus King was when he was 15 years old. He basically snuck into the Orange Peel in Asheville, North Carolina, and he was trying to give his demo tape to Warren Haynes, who was playing at the Orange Peel. And I guess he snuck in with like the caterers or something, or like in the kitchen or whatever, and he kind of like cruised in there at a 15-year-old kid. And I believe he was almost arrested, I think, or something like that. Like the owner spotted him or found him or whatever. And he was literally just trying to pass his demo, to Warren Haynes. And then since that time, he's performed there. I mean, I guess he and the owner have a good relationship. A lot of his influences and his overall style. I mean, there's a lot you can learn from a guitarist like this because he has a lot of feel. He has a lot of expression and emotion, when he's like bending and playing, melodically. But then he can also throw down. I mean, I think the first song I heard from him was Plant Your Corn Early. And, I was a little bit late to the party, but when I heard that tune, I was like, who is this? And then, it kind of popped up in a few guitar magazines. I started to see videos and some like bootlegs or live footage, on YouTube. And it just slowly kind of formed in front of me. And then it was like, wait, I like this guy. Like, he's really good. He's the real deal. It's not just some flash in the pan like kid, that's ripping off, legends. It's like, no, he's like legit. Like, he really is talented. And he's, from the South. And he has this kind of lineage, even, his family. Like his great grandfather was like a fiddle player. His grandfather played fiddle and guitar, and then his dad was actually a notable guitarist and a band leader. So it's it's in his blood. It's in his family to do what he's doing, and he's just killing it. It's awesome. It's really, really inspiring. Well, the licks in this lesson came from a bootleg I found on YouTube, and it's from 2018, so from last year. And it's just kind of a little, I guess, kind of an extended solo section, and the band's playing, and Marcus is just laying it down. You can really hear, some cool ideas and some cool licks. And, there's some pretty cool things you can learn, from him. And his approach, this phrasing, I mean, great tone, has that very classy, kind of classic sound, with the 345 that he's playing, plugged into, I'm guessing, probably like a Bassman or, he probably has, some Fender and some Marshalls or something off stage. I'm not really sure what his amp situation is, but he has that very authentic, classy sound. And it's like, man, it's dialed in, it's playing great, he's singing great, the band sounds great. It's got some horns and stuff, and his bass player, his drummer, I mean, his whole band is phenomenal, so I'm definitely a fan. Okay, the first lick is this kind of phrased, G minor pentatonic idea. And the whole solo pretty much revolves around G minor pentatonic, G blues. He does some different things, and you'll see, some of the things we're going to tap into here. And with this lick, he's basically out of the box, like around the third position. But the way it's phrased and arranged, it's really unusual, and it's a kind of an ear-catching lick. So it looks and sounds like this. And I really like the way it's rhythmically, phrased, where he's kind of, it's kind of herky-jerky, I guess, as far as the rhythm. And in time, it is like kind of hitting, accents on downbeats, but then he's also kind of just slipping between the cracks there with that rhythm. And it's a really cool phrase, even though it's mainly just in one position of the minor pentatonic scale, but it sounds alive, the way he's kind of arranged the notes. Really cool lick. All right, the next lick is the very next phrase in the solo, like after that first run. And this is kind of a position shifting pentatonic idea. It's like on the G and the B strings. And then he's also doing this really cool, where he's basically on the B string and he's bending, a note, and then he jumps even higher, like, 2 frets higher, and then bends again. And you can catch this, Jimmy Herring, Derek Trucks. I've even caught, like Andy Timmons and people like that doing this lick. So it's like a bend, and then you shift higher and bend again. And you hear this, just really interesting kind of bending idea. So it looks and sounds like this. And I really like the way he's moving between positions there. And then right here is where that bend and then a higher bend takes place. So you're kind of shift bending, I guess you could call it. And he kind of digs in right there, almost like Albert King or Albert Collins or someone, which is really cool. And he just does a little descending phrase there on the B and the G. Really cool lick, and it's kind of, moving around the fretboard in an interesting way too. Okay, the next lick is on the B and the G string, and it's this kind of repetitive, like 3-note motif, and it starts off, kind of in a simple, like triplet pattern, and then he basically starts doing like hammer-ons and pull-offs on the B. That's a really interesting lick, and I know the phrasing is kind of weird. You can kind of get caught up, with the fingering a little bit. And, you're kind of doing this flowing, 3-note group at the beginning. And really there I'm just picking everything with a downstroke, and I'm also, doing a hammer-on on the B. And then you're catching that, that D note on the G string there. So those are just triplets, right? And then he shifts into the next position of G minor pentatonic, and he starts doing a hammer-on pull-off on the B, and then he's grabbing that F note on the G string. So he's really just kind of, speeding up the phrase. So it starts, kind of like this. Then he moves to the next position of G minor pentatonic and does that phrase, it's a little shorter as far as the repetition. Then shift up again. And then shift up to the box right there. And I kind of cut off there at the little clip that I showed. But then he does kind of continue and goes, into another phrase after that. Really cool lick. Now here's a bonus lick from this solo, and this reminds me of Jimmy Herring, big time. It's this kind of rapid fire, like pull-off lick. And he's also doing like a pivot movement. Now you can definitely hear pivot licks, coming from people like Jimmy Herring, but Steve Vai, Gary Moore, Nino Betancourt. There's a whole bunch of people out there that have played licks and phrases like this. So it's a speed lick, and it looks and sounds like this. That's a really cool lick, and he's doing this kind of double pull-off on the G. And that's between, like 19 to 15, and then on the D string, you're descending from 17 to 15. And then just shift that up a whole step into the exact same thing, 21 to 17, and then 19 to 17. And you can definitely hear a lot of guitarists play phrases like that, but it's more common to hear it on the high E and the B string than it is to hear it on the G and the D. So it has this lower, kind of bassier, like a throaty, kind of sound on that string group, which is really cool. All right, that's going to wrap this look at 3 licks from Marcus King, and definitely, it's a very exciting and new, artist. He's young, and in my opinion, he's doing it right. He has some very, classic and famous and noteworthy influences, and then he's compiled all those songs and ideas and phrases and sounds and tones into his own style. And whenever I notice somebody like that, it's like, wow, here's a 23-year-old, guy. Just, he's got the vision, he's got the picture, he's got the sound, and it's really exciting to see, someone that young and he's that together, where it's like, wow, what's he going to be doing like over the next few years? I hope he just explodes, and maybe it'll kind of create like a revival of, classic, like real rock and blues and R&B, music, which that's exciting, for me. So, leave some feedback and some comments. Let me know if you got anything from this lesson, and I'll be back with some more lessons and material very soon. And please subscribe to Late Night Lessons. And I also wanted to say here really quick, thank you for helping me pass the 1,000 subscribers. I think I'm up to like well over 1,100. I might even be closer to like 1,200. While I'm making this video, I haven't really checked today, but thank you for the views, the comments, the support, the Patreon support. I've got some students that have signed up. And, you've really helped Late Night Lessons kind of get on its feet. So thank you for watching and for commenting and, for being a part of this. So good luck with this, and rock on.